France is celebrating the 80th anniversary of General Charles de Gaulle's appel, or appeal, to the French population. On June 18th, 1940, the World War II resistance leader used a BBC broadcast from London to urge people to resist the German occupation of France. A ceremony is being held today at Mont Valérien, just west of Paris, where there's a memorial to resistance fighters. France 24's Clovis Casali is there. He joins me now. Clovis, tell us about today's ceremony and the significance of where it's being held.
Well, Mont Valérien is where Nazi forces during World War II would round up French resistance fighters and execute them. There was a prison here, and now there's a memorial. Actually, General de Gaulle came here in 1945 after the liberation of Paris to pay tribute to the memory of those resistance fighters. There's a memorial here, and this is where the ceremony is taking place on the 80th anniversary of l'appel du Général de Gaulle, the call, the appeal of General de Gaulle that was broadcast on BBC radio, of course. So during this ceremony, French presidents, former French presidents are set to attend, and you also have, of course, President Emmanuel Macron. There will be a minute of silence. There will be the Marseillaise, the national anthem, performed, as well as Le Chant des Partisans. And of course, it's a very symbolic venue, an important moment for French history. And there will be also French warplanes alongside the British Red Arrows flying over this venue from west to east, flying then over symbolic venues in Paris, such as Winston Churchill statue, and then heading to London, where Emmanuel Macron will be heading later in the day to meet the Prince of Wales and of course also British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. During the ceremony today, there will be the reading of l'appel du 18 juin, a message recorded by a French officer that will be resonating here at this venue of Mont Valérien, just outside of Paris.
Tell us more about this speech, this famous appeal to the French people.
Well, first, let's say that 2020 is the year de Gaulle, the 80th anniversary of this call of the 18th of June. It's also the 130th anniversary of de Gaulle's birth and the 50th anniversary of his death. It's important to know that here in France, General de Gaulle is an extremely revered figure across the political spectrum. He's considered a right-wing figure, but he was moreover a national figure, respected on the right side and the left side of the political spectrum. The left and the right see him as a unifying force, a man who managed to unite the French resistance, thanks notably to this call made from London in 1940 on June the 18th. General de Gaulle managed to convince Winston Churchill and Roosevelt, his allies, that he was the leader of the Free French, that he was the man to talk to in order to mobilize the French resistance. And that's exactly what he tried to do with this appeal, call to all the French people who wanted to resist Nazi Germany, who wanted to resist the Nazi occupier, and also join him in London to fight. Many resistance fighters did join him in London. And it's important to know also that this call was not heard by all of the French people when it was first made on June 18th. Not everybody had a radio at home, and but many people read it, heard it later on in the war. Actually, General de Gaulle's wife didn't hear it at the time. She was on a boat fleeing France, leaving from Brittany, trying to head to London, where General de Gaulle organized the war efforts, tried to mobilize the French resistance and all the efforts to fight Nazi Germany. This call, this appeal of June 18th was really a pivotal moment in the war, in the Second World War, especially for the French. And it's also a very important moment, of course, for French history during the 20th century.
Thank you very much, Clovis Casali, reporting there.